Bring in Democratic Senator Chris Coons of Delaware, a Biden campaign co-chair. Senator Coons, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you, Kristen. It's good to be on with you on this somber morning.
It is really great to have your perspective on this morning, even though it is difficult for everyone across this country. And I do want to start there. We heard that forceful, full-throated condemnation by President Biden about this political violence, saying it cannot be tolerated. This has to end. What do you think needs to happen moving forward, and how might this horrific moment impact the 2024 campaign?
Well, Kristen, there have been too many close calls in the time that I've been in Congress. As you referenced earlier, there was that tragic day when Steve Scalise was shot. My close friend Jeff Flake, conservative Republican senator, came back to the Capitol. I'll never forget standing with him, praying with him as he was in his baseball uniform, spattered with the blood of Congressman Scalise. Congresswoman Giffords is and was a close friend and was shot in the head at a political event. And Speaker Pelosi's husband, Paul, was brutally beaten and hospitalized in an attempt at attacking her. And then last night's shocking event, by the grace of God, not a tragedy. We would be in a very different place this morning if there'd been a different outcome. So first, President Biden did last night, as he so often does, the things that I most hope a president would do. He was at church. He was briefed. He called former President Trump to wish him a full and speedy recovery. He went on national television to denounce political violence and urge us to come together. He's pulled down campaign ads. And as you heard from Congressman Muser and from Senator Graham and Senator Sanders, all of us are reaching out to each other in Congress. As you know, I'm an active member of our senatorial prayer group that tries to not just lower the temperature, but to be role models to each other of how to respect each other as people, how to carry out the vision that President Biden shared in his inaugural address, that we would see each other not as enemies, but as political opponents with different values and views. And we would speak about each other and act towards each other in ways that are more respectful and more supportive. That's my prayer for our nation this morning, Kristen.
Senator Coons, as you know, the Republican National Convention gets underway on Monday. The Democratic National Convention gets underway in August. What concerns do you have, not only in terms of the rhetoric in this country, but from the security of both of those events as we prepare to head into this incredibly busy summer season?
Look, I am so grateful for the service of the state troopers and the Secret Service who protected President Trump last night. So regretful for the loss of life at a political rally. And as you put it, we need to be more concerned and more diligent than ever in ensuring that our two conventions and the rest of this presidential campaign comes off safely and securely. We went through as a nation a period of political violence in the late 60s. I was a high school senior when there was an assassination attempt at President Reagan's life. And as I mentioned, there have been too many relatively recent events. We have to reduce the rhetoric and the tone. I'd urge folks to turn off their phones and get off of social media today and take some time with your family and reflect on who we are as a nation and who we want to be. Part of why I admire and support Joe Biden is that his tone, his leadership as president has been geared towards trying to bring us together. And as you heard from my friend and colleague, Senator Graham, we have folks who feel strongly and deeply and positively about both presidential candidates. We need to get through both of these conventions with a more respectful and constructive tone and recognize, as Senator Sanders said, that while we have huge issues at stake in this election, they need to be more boring and less troubling.
All right. We'll leave it on that powerful note. Senator Coons, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.